Clearly, COVID-19 is going to be with us for a very long time. And one of the things that we've had to learn to live with is our ability to mentally handle it all. Timothy Maurice is an author, he's a writer, he's a consultant on image and being the best self that you can be. He also hosts one of my favorite podcasts, The Brain and Brand Show. And he joins us today because he posted something on Instagram that caught my attention. He posted, "The greatest battle you'll ever fight is the one in your own mind. This lockdown has presented me with an internal war. On some days, I win the war outright. However, on others, I lose." He joins me to discuss what we can all do to be able to stay sane in these very difficult times. How are you doing? Because, you run a business where a lot of the time, you the freelancer, how has this lockdown impacted you business-wise?
80% of my stuff has been canceled. 80% of client engagement, 80% of work has been canceled. In fact, I've had 2 really low days. It was day 6 where I had like a pile of client engagement that just outright canceled. And then when they extended the first lockdown, I dipped quite low. And then I just sort of pulled myself together and I realized that about 3 years ago, I invested in my own podcast equipment. So I realized that my podcast and my ability to create digital research content for clients, digital sort of narrative storytelling for clients, all of that stuff I can do from here. And then once I picked myself up, I started pitching. And I pitched about 12 since the lockdown, and I've closed about 4 deals.
How, in your mind, do we even begin to process and deal with this kind of psychological mess, unlike anything else we've ever gone through?
Sure. So I wrote a piece for Destiny Man about this. We were talking about hacking our way through this. And one of the things that I've tried to do is hack the algorithms. So for example, what social media and the big social media platforms do really well is they create emotional glue. So whatever patterns that you exhibit online, they show you more of that to trigger your emotions to keep you locked into the space. Now, what that does is create this kind of insulated echo chamber where you get the same stuff. So I constantly hack my algorithms by following people that I wouldn't normally follow, by going outside of my comfort zone and try to create a balanced inputs. So the first thing for me is the exposure to stimuli has to be diverse. And then in terms of other mental hacks, we have this period in the mornings from 6 to 9 a.m., which is going to be extended in level 3, where we can physically go outside in nature. Nature delights the cells, it delights the immune system, and it helps you respond to stress better. Another simple hack you can do, if you drink more balanced pH level water and you hydrate the brain, it boosts what we call alpha waves. And alpha waves, the role of alpha waves is to help the brain make connections. And by helping the brain, enabling the brain to make more connections, what you do is that you enable yourself to problem solve and look for opportunities. The other thing is that if you can, I know it's hard, the strategic part of the brain, the prefrontal regions of the brain, the part of the brain that problem solves, that plans, that thinks about the future, that really gets overwhelmed in all of this chaos. If you can shut that off, and I know this seems counterintuitive.
How do I do that?
Me time. Literally, this is how you shut it off. Find some mindfulness space. I don't know some people meditate, some people pray. So when you're trying to problem solve, the prefrontal region goes into the spin cycle. It literally just starts spinning, which is why everyone watching this will tell you when they stop thinking about stuff, the answers come.
Yep.
And so you have to plan that into your schedule. You physically have to go and say, right now, I have to invest in myself, stopping.
Any tips on how I can manage my working days a little bit better for those of us that may be more fortunate in that we can still work from home?
So what I recommend is we design what we call our second brain. And we're already doing this already, but we're not aware of it. We're not being intentional. So I want all of us to go into designer mode right now and go, I've got kids here. I know I've got to spend this much time with them. So that's a pattern, and I'm going to design that. I'm going to commit to that. And then I've got my exercise time, my me time that I've listened to Tim on Andile show. And so now I'm going to invest some time in my nature exposure to delight my cells. So I'm going to design that. And then I'm going to work out this entire sort of second brain so that it frees up my conscious. Because if you're not thinking about it and you don't do it intentionally, then your day can just go scattered and you'll take a call when you should have been having me time. You know, the fact is, when you are highly intentional about this stuff, people will work with you. But you got to say to yourself, I'm going to be intentional and I'm going to design my day in a way, and it's not a to-do list. It's a very different. It's a proactive way to go. I know where I'm headed. I know where I'm going. So I'm going to put those designer patterns to complement what I'm trying to accomplish.
Where else can we get this kind of wisdom? Where can we follow you? How do people get hold of the podcast that I enjoyed earlier this week?
The Brain and Brand Show. And you can just go to my website, Timothy Maurice, Maurice, TimothyMaurice.com.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate your time.